Every civilization around the world has an ancient flood myth, including that of Eskimos. The number of flood stories across the world is estimated to be about 500. Tamils, Chinese, Jewish, Babylonian, Sumerian, Greeks, and the Mayans are the prominent ones among them. Apart from these myths, was there a real deluge? And if so, where it happened and when it happened are the questions that this video is going to answer. This video is approaching this topic in a totally different and valid perspective. The sequel to this video, as the second part, would provide the veritable model for Noah's escape from the deluge. I had established through many of my works that Tamil language is like a time capsule which had recorded the human history in its words. Much of the archaeological evidences, stone inscriptions, literary evidences, etc. are systematically manipulated with a view to shadow the real history by the vested interests. Many of them are manipulated either while creating them or while interpreting them. For example, out of Africa theory is such a deliberately coached up theory to deny the expression of the real history, that is, the existence of Lemuria. As the history itself was written by the winners, we cannot trust the existing historical narratives to write the true history of the world. It is here that the first and the most ancient language of the world comes handy in rewriting the true history of the world. Words weren't created to record history. Words emerged to express and share information, and they evolved along with the historical events, and hence they have unintended historical information embedded in them. Even though I would be using scientific data, traditional information, cultural symbols, etc. in my treatise, they would be substantiated by the etymology of all the words related to the topic of our discussion, the Lemuria. The existence of Lemuria was first proposed by Philip Sclater in the year 1864 by studying the lemur family of mammals in Madagascar, India, and Australia, and hence hypothesized that land bridges existed between these lands in ancient times. This led to the idea that a landmass existed connecting these lands. He further hypothesized that landmass could have sunken under the sea due to meteoric collision followed by earthquake and inundation. However, Plato, the Greek philosopher, had hypothesized that such land existed in Atlantic Ocean and also called that land as Atlantis. In fact, Atlantic Ocean got its name from the hypothetical sunken land Atlantis as conceptualized by Plato to have existed in the region named as Atlantic Ocean today. Plato took the name of the lost land from Egyptians through his grandfather, while the proposed location of it was his own hypothesis. To summarize, Lemuria was the archaeologically proposed modern name of the lost land by Sclater, and one of the ancient names of the lost land was Atlantis, which originated from the Egyptians. If Plato's location of Lemuria was hypothetical, where did it actually exist? Human species could not have evolved in colder regions, and this is substantiated by the lower fertility levels of the Europe compared to the tropical regions. This fact supports the idea of Sclater locating it in Indian Ocean, the tropical region. We shall take up the case of Atlantis. It is said to exist in the North Atlantic Sea between Europe and North America. But is it really lying there? Francis Bacon, in his novel New Atlantis, indirectly points to Lanka and South India as the remnant lands of the Atlantis. According to his novel, his ship starts its voyage from Peru of South America and was heading direct west, and it traveled 150 days when it found the nation called Bensalem. I had published a detailed video with the title The Secret Behind the Conception of Royal Society, establishing that the Bensalem was actually Lanka and South India, which were the surviving lands of Lemurian deluge, and hence concluded that Francis Bacon indirectly suggests that the real location of Atlantis is in Indian Ocean. When we analyze the word Atlantis, we shall prove that it is indeed so. As a precursor to proving the location of Atlantis, let us consider the Deucalion flood myth of the Greeks. Titan Prometheus instructs his son Deucalion to build a ship to escape the imminent deluge. Deucalion and his wife Pirha survives the floods for 9 days and nights, and their ship then lands upon the Mount Parnassus. This story is quite similar to the biblical Noah's flood story. Let us look at the name Deucalion. This name originated from two words, namely Terku and Orient. The Tamil word Terku means south and Orient means belonging to the ocean, as Ari means ocean. Terku plus Orient, Tekku plus Orient, Tekarian, Deucalion, Deucalion. Hence, Deucalion means person of the southern ocean, and it is a general name pointing to the people of southern ocean. His wife Pirha deformed from Veera, meaning brave. The total meaning of Deucalion and Pirha is the brave people of the southern ocean, which includes both men and women. The Mount Parnassus is also a deformed Tamil word. Var plus Navu, Par plus Nasu, Parnasu, Parnassus, where Var means mountain range and Navu means ship in Tamil. Parnassus is the mount named after the landing of Deucalion's chest. The ship of the brave people of southern ocean landed on a mountain. This is only a restatement of Noah's story by the Greeks, and it did not happen in Greece, even though they locate Parnassus in Greece. In my opinion, the Saharan desert itself originated during the deluge of Lemuria, which would be the topic of the second part of this video. Hence, it is all the more likely that Saharan desert itself originated after the depletion of water of the sea called Saharam. Saharam is a general name of a very large sea in Tamil. Sa plus Aram, Sa plus Haram, Saharam, where Sa means big or long and Aram means circle. As sea encircles the world, and as the world is very big, the ocean got a general name Saharam in ancient Tamil. Hence, during the deluge, water did not swell in this part of the world. On the other hand, the water got depleted from Sahara, Arabia, and the Middle East region, rendering them as deserts. This happened exactly when Noah's boat landed on Ararat. Thus, the name Deucalion should refer to Indian Ocean, which lies south of Anatolia, where the original flood legend of the West originated. After solving the name Deucalion, we are armed well to attack Atlantis and understand its etymology. The English word land originated from the Tamil word Nadu. Example, Thai plus Nadu, Thai Nadu, Thai land. Thai means mother and Nadu means country. Actually, the name of the nation Thailand originated this way, even though they understand Thailand as the land of the free, which is etymologically wrong. By definition also, the word land and Nadu means the very same. Nadu means an administrative region bounded by a definite border. Land also means the same as per the etymological definition, namely, definite portion of earth's surface, home region of a people, territory marked by political boundaries. Hence, the word land originated from Tamil word Nadu. Now consider the word Thinnadu, which means southern land. Ten plus Nadu, Thinnadu, Thinnad, the land, Ethland, Atlant, Atlantis. Hence, just like Deucalion, which means southern ocean, Atlantis also originated from Thinnad, meaning southern country. But Plato fixes the location of Atlantis at the mouth of Mediterranean Sea in the North Atlantic Ocean. That might be due to the fact that Plato wasn't aware of the meaning of Atlantis and he considered it merely as a name. He wasn't aware that every ancient Tamil name had a meaning. Actually, Plato took the name Atlantis from Egypt only, and it proves the point even more strongly. As I mentioned earlier, that Sagara got emptied when Noah's boat arrived on Mount Ararat, there was no possibility of Atlantis, which is lying in the North Atlantic Sea, sinking during the deluge. Plato merely concocted it, not understanding where the original Atlantis existed. Thus, proving the indirect inference of Francis Bacon, we have established that the real Atlantis should have located in Indian Ocean only. They shall be further established by the Greek Poseidon mythology. According to Plato, Atlantis was home to Poseidon. Who was Poseidon? He is one of the gods of ancient Greece who was the god of the seas, earthquakes, storms, etc. Surprisingly, he wields a trident too. Now compare it with the Shiva of Tamils, who was the king of Kumarikandam, the historical name of Lemuria, who also wields a trident. Shiva was called Dakshinamurti, meaning southern king. Long after his times, the Kumarikandam submerged due to earthquake and the related fire, storm, followed by inundation. People of later era thought that God Shiva was displeased with humanity and he destroyed the home of ancient humanity, the Kumari continent. That's why Shiva was called Yama, the destroyer. Ya means south in Tamil, and hence Shiva, who lived south of Lanka, was called Yama, meaning the personage of the south. Hence, Shiva was indeed connected with earthquake, storm, seas, etc. Thus, all the epithets of Poseidon is matching with Shiva, including their connection with the famous bull. Hence, Poseidon of Atlantis was actually the Shiva of Lemuria. That means the name Poseidon should mean Shiva too. We shall prove that now. Shiva was a yogi, meaning meditating sage. It is from this aspect of Shiva that the name Poseidon originated. Yogi, Yosi, Osi, Ositon, Ositon, Positon, Poseidon. Yosi and Osi both means think, and Osi is a colloquial form of Yosi, which is pretty much in use among Tamils. Thus, etymologically, Positon means the person who thinks, and hence Poseidon means contemplator or thinker, and hence points to Shiva, who was a great yogi. I had already proved that Atlantis, meaning southern land, is nothing but Lemuria, and now I have proved that Poseidon, the god of Atlantis, was nothing but god Shiva of Lemuria, the Kumarikandam. There is one more interesting fact. The Greek word Oceanus also originated from Shiva, the Lemurian king who ruled the Indian Ocean in his times. Yogi, Yosi, Osi, Osion, Oceanus, Ocean. According to ancient Greeks and Romans, Oceanus was a divine figure who was a personification of sea and also called as Ogan, which was nothing but Yogan, the Shiva. Hence, the very name ocean originated from Shiva, who was the god of the Indian Ocean. Hence, we have established that Lemuria, the name given by Sclater, was historically called as Atlantis, and it was Plato who wrongly located it in Atlantic Ocean. Hence, Atlantis is located in Indian Ocean and not in Atlantic Ocean. It is funny that Atlantic Ocean got its name from Atlantis, which did not exist in Atlantic Ocean. This is a historic blunder. Some people think that Lemuria was just a myth and it did not really exist. I am going to prove now that Lemuria was real and it was located in Indian Ocean. One of the reasons that the non-believer state is that such a large and contiguous landmass never existed, as the so-called sunken land is uneven terrain with the seabed lying at various depths from few hundred meters to several kilometers. Contrary to their arguments, the existing land area of the world have tall mountains and made of uneven terrains, and hence Lemuria too could have possibly existed like that. However, their counterpoint helped me to discover that Lemurian continent wasn't a contiguous landmass, and such depiction was indeed faulty. Lemurian continent actually existed as a collection of mountainous islands separated by the seas. How do I know? There are two reasons. 1. The Lemurian continent was called Kumarikandam as it was referred in Skanda Puran, which narrates the ancient history of Tamil land related to Murugan, available today as Sanskrit literature. This Sanskrit work was a copy of Tamil Kanda Puranam, which was translated into Sanskrit around 5th century AD. I had already analyzed the word Kumari and found it having originated as Kumbalai Maritha Kandam, Kumari Kandam. Kumbalai Maritha Kandam means the land where people perished en masse. Hence, the word Kumari was a fitting abbreviated name given to the lost continent. What is the meaning of the word kandam? Every Tamil word had a definite and precise meaning. Kandu is a collection of similar objects bound together. We have words like Kirai Kandu, Karkandu, or even Noorkandu, etc. Hence, Kandam was a collection of islands separated by sea and bound by a single government. Long before the times of deluge, this land, called by the general name Kandam, was ruled by Shiva. Very long after the times of Shiva, this Kandam submerged under the sea due to calamity, and majority of its population perished. Because of this fact, this Kandam was named Kumari Kandam, the adjective Kumari recording the fact that a huge mass of people perished en masse. This Kandam was named Kumari by Murugan after the deluge, and that is why he is remembered as Kumaran. In fact, Murugan belonged to that lost continent, and he saved a huge crowd of people from the deluge and along with them settled in ancient Lanka. Hence, Murugan also suggested to the survivors of the deluge that every man shall be called as Kumaran as a general name, preserving the history that he is a survivor of the deluge, and every woman shall be called as Kumari as a general name for the same reason. This tradition is maintained even today when making marriage agreements in Tamil land, addressing the bridegroom with the epithet Kumaran and addressing the bride with the epithet as Kumari. Hence, the word Kandam means a collection of islands in the sea and hence not a contiguous landmass. The second reason why I think so is the fact that Hindu, Buddhist and Jain narratives about Shiva says that he is presently ruling the celestial world, which is a collection of mountains separated by the sea, and is living at the center one called as Mir Mountain. I had established that it was the spiral galaxy, and I have also derived the names Spiral Galaxy and Meru Mountain from a single root in my recent video, 60 சுழல் ஆண்டுகளின் மூலமும் தேவையும். Thus, Shiva's kingdom is said to exist in cosmos, which is the replica of his kingdom on earth. They even say that his ancient earthly kingdom and his present celestial kingdom together looks like a hourglass. Hence, his earthly kingdom, when he was a human, was also a collection of islands and obviously called as Kandam. Hence, Kumari Kandam wasn't a contiguous landmass, and it was a collection of mountainous islands. Another reason for negating the existence of Kumari Kandam is the continental drift theory, which they say explains the connection of lemur family of Madagascar, India and Australia, and hence the existence of the land bridge model of Phillips crater unnecessary to explain the spread of lemurs. The continental drift happened millions of years ago, and we are not sure that lemurs existed at that time. They only advance a theory, and the theory need not necessarily be true. We cannot explain a physical reality with a hypothetical theory. On the other hand, the existence of Kumari Kandam was recorded in ancient Tamil literatures like Kandapuranam, Selapadigaram, etc., thousands of years before Sclater's hypothesis itself. Not only that, the Sumerian, Babylonian flood myths recorded in the cuneiform tablets more than 5000 years ago actually refer to the Lemurian deluge and not that of Mesopotamian flood. We would see how. Let us consider the history of Sumeria. About 7500 years ago, there was an epic war popularly known as Ramayanam War of Lanka. The losers of the war, who started the war in the first place, left Lanka and South India fearing reprisal from the winners. Thus, there was a huge exodus from this region and they settled in Mesopotamia through ships. There are three most important facts told of the Sumerians. 1. Sumerians were expert in warfare, and in fact, the word Sumer originated from the Tamil word Samar, meaning fight. 2. Sumerians brought agriculture to Mesopotamia. 3. Sumerians brought superior culture to Mesopotamia. We know that Murugan of Lanka was an expert in warfare, and hence he was called war god after his nirvana. Hence, Lankans were experts in warfare, and that explains the point number 1. I had established already that it was Murugan of ancient Lanka who invented farming technology, and hence Lankans obviously took agriculture to Mesopotamia, which explains the point number 2. Lankan king Ravanan was a great yogi and he invented Veena, the vastly improved form of yar. Music and dance were the hallmark of Ravanan's Lanka. There is a traditional information that Ravanan had flying machines. It was Indrajit, the son of Ravana, who invented spokes wheel for the first time in the history of the world. Thus, he invented the first chariot and bullock cart and thus called Pandya, and Pandyan dynasty started from him. Using his spiritual powers, he could rise above the clouds and hence called rain god after his nirvana, and that is why Indraloka is said to exist above the clouds. These are the sample info to prove that Ravanan's Lanka was culturally, scientifically, technologically, and spiritually far advanced than any other lands in those times. Obviously, the Ramayana war refugees carried their superior culture to Mesopotamia, which explains the point number 3. Thus, the Sumerians were actually the Lankan refugees of Ramayana war. The fact that Kanda Puranam, which narrates the history of Murugan, mentions the deluge of Kumari Kandam and Murugan being called as Kumaran, invariably proves the connection of Murugan with the deluge. The Sumerian civilization originating from the exodus from Lanka and South India, it is obvious that the deluge story of Zeizudra is that of Murugan, which was re-narrated in Sumeria. The very name Zeizudra is a Sumerian version of Seyon, the Murugan. Murugan was the first to understand the scientific process leading to childbirth, and he also designed his weapon whale in the likes of the male sperm cell. Hence, he was called Seyon, meaning the maker of infants. The word Sudra means possessor of formulae, and it pays to remember that geometry, music, weaving, and ironsmithry existed in Kumari continent prior to the deluge, and I had established the same through the video. Biblical proof for the pre-diluvian technologies of Tamils. Obviously, Murugan was a technocrat and he did possess many a formulae and hence called as Sudra. Hence, Seyon Sudra became Zeizudra, which refers to Murugan, and this fact is put forward for the first time here. Likewise, the Babylonian epic of Gilgamesh also refers to Murugan, and the connecting syllable is Gamesh of Gilgamesh. Murugan was a fertility god and hence obviously related to Kama and hence Gamesh. Moreover, Sumerian version of his name is Bilgamesh, which deformed from Vailkamesh, Vailkamesh, Bailkamesh, Bilgamesh, Gilgamesh, where Vail is the weapon of Murugan and hence Bilgamesh points to Murugan only. Murugan fought with mountain Kurava people, whom we shall connect with the Enkidu of Gilgamesh epic, and after winning the mountain Kuravas and befriending them, Murugan tortures the palm forest for initiating agriculture, and similar story is said of Bilgamesh cutting down cedar forest and encountering the fiery beast Humbaba. The character Utnapistum, recalling the deluge of Gilgamesh epic, is also Murugan. It is very clear that Sumerians and Babylonians were remembering Murugan, who lived a few thousand years before in ancient Lanka. It pays to remember that Dagan, Marduk, Dumusid, Tammuz, Bel, Paul, David of Judaism, George of Christianity, Al-Khidir of Islam, Dragon of China, Rongo of New Zealand, Amun of Egypt, Amman of Berber, Pachakuti of Peru, Qumran of Israel, Kumaran, Murugan, Velan, Kandan, Kadirvelan, Gugan of Tamils, etc., proves the fact that Murugan was the common god of entire humanity and was known all over the world. Zeizudra and Gilgamesh could have been the kings of Sumer and Babylon respectively, but they were named after Murugan as given names, and the attributes of Murugan were appended to them at a later era, and that's how they are associated with the flood myths that originally belonged to Murugan. I would explain this fact with an example. It is very common that people were named after the gods as given names. So was the David, the Jewish king, when he was born. But during the later eras, long after his times, people forgot that King David was named after God David, and hence they appended the attributes of God David to King David, thinking that both refers to the same personality. That's how the six-pointed star, which was an abstract form of Shivalingam created by God David, who was Murugan, was wrongly associated with King David. I had already established that God David was indeed Murugan through the video, the Star of David and the God Murugan. The same thing happened with the Saint George of Christianity, where George is one of the names of Murugan, and Murugan's association with the dragon was wrongly portrayed as that of Saint George's. Likewise, Zeizudra could have been a Sumerian king named after Murugan, and at a later era, the legends associated with the Murugan could have been associated with Zeizudra. And it goes the same with the epic of Bilgamesh too. Thus, we have established that the deluge of Kumarikandam and its association with Murugan is also confirmed by the 5000 years old Sumerian and Babylonian records. Thus, the deluge of Kumarikandam is not a myth but reality. Some scholars think that biblical Noah story was borrowed from Sumerian myths. No, that wasn't correct. As established already, the Sumerian flood myths were that of Murugan of Lanka, and the biblical flood myth was that of Noah of East Anatolia. Both originated from the same Lemurian deluge. Thus, Noah's boat escape did happen, and the descendants of Noah are actually known as Jews today. I would list the reasons for concluding so. The ark landed on Mount Ararat, which is in East Anatolia. Noah obviously moved north and settled in dry area. That area is called today as Khazar. Noah's descendants called themselves as Jews. Why? Any object would not be sinking if that object is inflated. As Noah's boat did not sink and survived such a terrible flood, they called themselves as inflated people proudly. Udu means inflate in Tamil. Udu, Yudu, Sudu, Judu, Judea. Thus, the name Yuda originated from the times of Noah itself. We know that Jews were traders from times immemorial. The traders were trading through coins. Coins are called kasu in Tamil, and in fact, even the word coin is also of Tamil origin as it is prepared by casting. Kaichu means heat or melt, and it is from this word that coin, kasu, cash, casting like words originated. Now let us put all these facts together. Noah's people survived the deluge without sinking, and hence they called themselves as Yuda, that is Jews. After their ship landed on Ararat, they moved to the dry northern region, now known as Khazar. As they took up trading long ago, they had lots of cash, that is Kasu, and hence the region where they lived was called Kasar, Kasar region, that is the region where moneyed people lived. Thus, we have established the name origin of Jew and the Khazar region, and the Khazar region being close to Ararat mountain connects all these facts seamlessly. The fact that Noah's ark landed in East Anatolia is confirmed by two independent and important archaeological data. A boat-like formation is seen near Ararat mountain, which nearly matches the size of the boat mentioned in the Bible. Ron Wyatt has done extensive tests, following which Turkey government has declared it as national heritage. We would see soon that the name Ararat itself originated from the ship landing history. There is another unmistakable proof for Noah's boat landing in East Anatolia. Near Ararat Mount, there is a place called Gobekli Tepe, which deformed from Ko Veli Topai, Ko Beli Tope, Gobekli Tepe, which means the large belly-like grazing ground for the cows. In that place, there were many temples excavated recently and are known to be the earliest temples of the world. They were carbon dated to be about 11,000 years old. According to the latest findings, the deluge also should have happened about 11,000 years ago. Hence, these temples should have been built by the boat people or their immediate descendants. The only problem is that this site is about 700 kilometers southwest of the location of the proposed ark, which needs some explanation, and we can indeed explain it empirically. Why did they build it? they should have built them to pay respects to the departed souls of the deluge. In fact, the very word temple means the place of worship of southern deluge victims. Ten plus pulam, tenpulam, tempulam, temple. Here, ten means south and pulam means place, and the popular Tamil word tenpulathar means the deceased people of the deluge in the southern region. There was an ancient tradition among Indians paying yearly remembrance service to the dead people of the deluge, which is called Mahalaya Amavasya. Maha Pralaya Amavasya, Mahalaya Amavasya. Here, Mahapralaya refers to the deluge cataclysm and Amavasya is a monthly remembrance ceremony of the general forefathers. This special and yearly ceremony called Mahalaya Amavasya remembers the deluge victims and is observed on the no moon day in the month of September. That means the original deluge could have happened around this part of the year. It is the same concept that the boat people too had, and they built the earliest known temples at Gobekli Tepe. Similar temples could have been built in ancient Lanka and India, and one such temple was at Gale in Lanka, and the other is the Kanyakumari temple, which is the modern version of such old temple. In fact, the people of India came to Kanyakumari for paying homage to the departed souls in the Indian Ocean, where Kumarikandam submerged. As they came to the south of India, the journey was called Yatra. Ya means south and Tarai means ground. Ya plus Tarai, Yatharai, Yatra. Thus, Yatra was the general name of the southern pilgrimage for offering pindam to the departed souls due to the deluge which happened long ago. The southern direction is also called Yama direction, which means the direction of death in Indian culture and is related to the deluge. Thus, the people of the world cherished the memory of the Lemurian disaster, and that was the case with the boat people and their descendants. Another important fact related to the temples at Gobekli Tepe is that it points to the direction where the deluge originally happened. In all the temples, there are two T-shaped stones erected in the middle of the temple, and they are all facing the direction of deluge, that is, the Lemurian continent in the Indian Ocean. In my opinion, these two stones implies a man and woman paying respect to the departed souls in the deluge. That's why they are all facing the southeast direction. Kindly watch my detailed video, Origin of Temple. The Noah's Ark is lying near Mount Ararat in the north-south direction, implying that the boat moved from the south towards the north. Even the Mount Ararat got its name as in the following: R plus Arth, Ararth, Ararat. R means up or high and Arthu means fix in Tamil. Ararat means fixed up high, which refers to the Noah's Ark, and hence the mount was called after the Noah's Ark. In Islamic tradition, the mount where the Noah's Ark rested was called Al-Judi Dag. The Tamil words Kudi Tangu means settle down. Kudi Tangu, Sudi Dang, Judi Dag, Al-Judi Dag. Thus, all the names associated with the deluge are Tamil words. The name Noah is also a deformed version of Navai, meaning ship in Tamil. Noah means shipman. Thus, the notion of Lemuria did not originate from Philip Sclater, and it was known to the Western people as Atlantis and to the Tamil people as Kumarikandam long ago. The Noah story was known to the Jews ever since their escape from the Lemurian deluge. Hence, Kumarikandam did submerge under the ocean due to cataclysm, and the researchers around the world has to consider the materials I presented in this treatise. I would also publish a veritable model for the Lemurian cataclysm and the subsequent landing of the Ark on the Mount Ararat very soon.